Vince, we've got a lot more to discuss. Are you ready for rapid fire?
I guess, man. I am winded from all of the talk about this game for the last 48 hours. I'm ready to turn the page, baby.
I just wish I had an Audric Estime question that I could ask you at this point.
Now I'm going to come out of this show as like an Audric Estime hater. That is not the case, people, at all.
Okay, so let's talk about Ryan Day's post-game comments. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, God. I did not want to hear this.
Lou Holtz goes on the Pat McAfee show on Friday. It was live at Notre Dame, of course. And he said that Ohio State wasn't physical enough. So here is Ryan Day after the game. You're first going to hear the interview that he did live TV on NBC, and then you're going to hear him starting off his post-game press conference. So two different Ryan Day comments, basically the same take.
To know where Lou Holtz is right now, what he said about our team, I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world. But I'll tell you what, I love those kids, and we got a tough team.
Ryan, is this a lunch pail performance?
Yeah, it was, and it was brewing for a couple days. Again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. A lot of people took a lot of shots at this team over the last 48 hours, and it really hit home to me. And the way that our team played, not only did we physically get after these guys last year, but we did it again here at the end of the game. And I think it says a lot about this team. And I'm really upset and disrespected by what Lou Holtz said publicly about our team and Ohio State and Buckeye Nation. And we're not going to stand for that, because that's not even close to true. We had one bad half a couple years ago up in Ann Arbor. We did in the second half. But every game we play in, we're physical. We are. I don't know where that narrative comes from, but that ends tonight. This team right here showed toughness. They showed grit. They didn't give up, and they found a way to get that last yard. And I'm sick over those short yardages that we didn't finish, but that's the game. And the last matchup game we were one play short. This play, we finished it the right way, and I'm really proud of our team.
So there's Ryan Day, and just a refresher, Lou Holtz said that everybody beats the teams that beat Ohio State beat them because they're more physical than Ohio State. So what do you think about Day getting triggered by Lou Holtz, Vince D'Addario?
If that's not the response of somebody who knows that
yes.
If he lost that game, he was done for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to talk about hot seat and all that stuff. Like that's a guy who, number one, has really thin skin and listens to way too much media. That's number one. Yeah. Number two,
probably a coach who, would tell you that he doesn't listen to anything anybody says, except that he comes shooting right out of the gates talking about listening to things that people say.
Point number two is that entire game, he was probably like, we're going to lose this game. And all of a sudden they won it at the last second. And the amount of relief that just like went off of his shoulders made him into a moron, basically, because he just started just spouting. And there was also on Twitter of him just like pumping his fist and like getting the crowd. He's just so excited. Dude, go back and watch the film. You are not the tougher team. You won the game, but handle it with some class, man. Like, Are you really that triggered by an 86-year-old man who needs help to be standing? Like, you're really that triggered by him? Like, that's really pathetic.
So, by the way, for those of you who didn't see the Holtz interview, probably like Vince, I assume. So
I saw it.
You did see it
after the fact. I saw it.
So you went back and watched it after the fact. Did you notice? Did you just see Holtz's comments, or did you see the whole context of the interview?
No, I just saw his comments.
So one of Pat McAfee's producers does a Lou Holtz impersonation, and at the start of every Pat McAfee show, this Lou Holtz impersonator, Ty Schmidt, who is one of the producers of the show, does this Lou Holtz impersonation, and he reads this whole disclaimer at the start of the show in a Lou Holtz voice.
Gotcha.
And so he was the guy interviewing Lou Holtz, and he wasn't just interviewing Lou Holtz. He was wearing a Lou Holtz rubber mask and wearing a Notre Dame hat like Lou Holtz used to wear, and he's interviewing him in Lou Holtz's voice. So it's basically Lou Holtz interviewing Lou Holtz in front of an obvious Notre Dame crowd out there on the lawn between the library and the stadium. Just how seriously were any of us supposed to take this interview? You know, like he was asking questions and Lou Holtz was giving real answers, but it was like he's wearing a Lou Holtz mask. It's you know, it's almost like you're just, you know, kind of laughing watching this thing the whole time. But Ryan Day is just completely triggered by this whole thing, you know, and they're so physical, by the way. They try to pass play, you know, the play before they ran for the touchdown. That's how physical Ohio State is, that they, you know, they had enough, they had so much confidence they were going to pull a Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl and try to do a pass play to beat Notre Dame rather than run the ball in against Notre Dame. And of course, they ran the ball at the one place that there wasn't anybody on the field. That's how physical they are, though.
Right.
You know? So
yeah, it just,
like you said, deep down, he knows how he knows he protests too much. Bill Shakespeare, you know, the lady doth protest too much. That's exactly what it is. He knows exactly where it is.
Yep. Absolutely. Because I'm not saying he would have been fired on the tarmac, because I know I'm just kind of responding to Archer. I'm not saying he would have been fired. I'm saying that seat gets red hot because, you know, they would have underachieved going into that game because they were the favored team going on the road. They would have underachieved. And then all eyes look to Michigan. And so if he loses that game, then, you know, I'm sorry, his job was in jeopardy. It wasn't completely safe if he loses that game. I'm not saying he gets fired immediately, but the pressure would have been on for the rest of the year. Yeah, absolutely on.
He's going to be feeling pressure after they play Penn State, and he's going to feel it even more after they play Michigan, because I don't have confidence in him. So now, Sam Hartman in his post-game press conference. Here's an interesting exchange that Sam Hartman had with one of the reporters from the Notre Dame beat after the game Saturday night.
Sam, on the fourth down early in the game, up over by the sideline, obviously they give it to you at first, but was there any concern in the moment that could happen, or how would you do anything differently on that run around the edge?
Yeah, if I would have got the first down, it would probably be the better thing to do there.
How would you do that?
I'm not sure. Maybe you could let me know.
And then just a devastating loss in you've had a lot of shootouts through the year. This was a different kind of game, but again, a last-second loss for you. I mean, just what's going through your mind as you're staring at the other team celebrating again?
Yeah, frustration. You know, it's part of your game, and again, it's a one-week season here, and we're going to bounce back next week.
By the way, I apologize. I had the Marcus Freeman cover photo on there for the Sam Hartman. I was in a little bit too much of a hurry, I guess, this afternoon when I put that together. But what do you think of that, Vince? I don't know if you heard the part in the middle where he's interrupted, you know, after the guy asked the question, and he's interrupted about, you know, the 4th and 1 play. And he says, how would you have done that? He said, I don't know. Maybe you can let me know.
Yeah, you should tell me. Yeah. Look, it was a stupid-ass question. How about that? I'm sorry. What would you have done differently? He answered you. He answered your stupid question. He answered your stupid question with a legitimate answer. I would have gotten the first down. Then how would you have done it? What? Grown my feet longer. Like, what do you mean? That's a stupid question, and I don't have a problem with the way Sam Hartman answered it. I really don't. It's a dumb question.
And, you know, look, I don't typically critique, you know, the questions of other guys, because God knows, you know, every once in a while you stick your own foot in your mouth and whatever, but it's just,
I'll take it. I'll be the one to say it was terrible. That's fine. Bring it to me.
I'm asking the question. I have no problem. It was just a bizarre, how would you have handled that different? Like, what was he supposed to say? You know, like, I guess he could have said, as someone said, lower my shoulder, whatever, but then to interrupt him while he's trying to give the answer and ask him how he would have done it. And like, what is Sam Hartman going to say? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me next time. But then he goes into you've never won big games before.
Right.
As if somehow that loss was on Sam Hartman. As if somehow Sam Hartman made all these fatal flaws in that game that cost Notre Dame. Give me a break.
He didn't turn the ball over.
Give me a break. You know, this isn't Tony Romo. You know, Mike, like, never able to win a big game. I'll eat that one as a Cowboys fan. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's Sam Hartman. There's no cause and effect there. You can't pin this on Sam Hartman somehow and the thing is, here's the really bizarre part. Like, the guy spent the week asking everybody about like the coolness factor of Sam Hartman. And then he wrote a story about, Sam Hartman is cool. But then at the same time, there've been other questions that have come up over the last couple of weeks about, like when they went to NC State a couple of weeks ago, like, how would you learn from all these bad things that you've done in the past? And, how do you learn from that? And it's like, I just, if you're going to keep bringing that kind of stuff up, I'm really surprised that Sam Hartman was sort of as restrained as he was with his responses.
It was that particular reporter asked a lot of negative questions, and I don't like it, to be honest with you, but I thought Hartman handled it about as well as he could, because there's always going to be bad questions that are going to be asked. But that particular reporter asked a lot of negative questions, and I don't understand like what he's looking to get out of it. Most reporters ask questions to help move their story forward, or they've got an agenda for a story, right? I don't understand where he was going with those questions for his story. That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Are you going to write about what Sam Hartman could have done on the 4th and 1 run? Like, that's your story? That's the part I don't understand. Or did you just want to see a kid squirming around up there? Like, I just don't understand why.
Yes.
So I'm not going to call out who it was.
No. And I put it on the screen. Put it on the screen. If you're watching the video, you can see the screen. Who it was. So what about the 4th and 1? The one where Hartman was originally, they said on the field that he got it. Then they went to the replay, said he didn't. Do you think the replay officials were correct in overturning the call?
I honestly don't. And I am trying to be as neutral here as I possibly can. Number one, I don't think you send that to replay, because those going out of bounds in that, like, that's so hard to judge. And it was called a first down on the field. There was not enough video evidence to tell me, as I'm looking at it, that it was not a first down. So I don't think you even go to review. And then when you do, you don't have concrete evidence that it's not a first down.
And that's the biggest problem with everything that happens in college replay on these kind of things. Their judgment call. They're letting judgment in the booth override what was judgment on the field. You can't let it can't be judgment. It has to be black or white.
Exactly.
And it was not black or white, because the way Blackledge, or the way the rules official explained it, was the ball was not, he had to get to the 17-yard line. He said, well, the ball wasn't to the 17-yard line when he went out of bounds. I beg to differ, because 1 foot is, like 3 inches inbounds, and, where he's hit by the Ohio State defender, and then he's pushed out of bounds. He takes one large stride that ends up on the other side of the big white, sideline marker, and the ball goes forward. So, like, even though his body is going out of bounds, he has not stepped out of bounds. It's just like on an incomplete pass, the clock does not stop on an incomplete pass that goes out of bounds until the ball touches the ground. And on a play like that, you are not out of bounds until your foot actually steps out of bounds. And then from that point, it's where the ball was when your foot steps out of bounds. But that's not how they called it, because they said that, they said that he wasn't to the 17-yard line. He was at the 16.5-yard line. He was past the 17-yard line where the ball is when his foot actually came out of bounds. So it was just a horrendous job by replay. There's no reason they should have overturned that. And you very rarely, and I realize we've got a lot of people who don't like the NFL, whatever, you rarely see those kind of calls overturned in the NFL, because you're basically splitting hairs when you're talking about spots. You had better evidence here that said that the call should have stood than the other way around.
Yes.
It was a terrible call. That's not how they called it.
Yeah. It was a terrible call. Terrible.
So how close is this game, the Ohio State game, to the feeling that you had after the Bush push game?
Oh, I knew that was somewhere. I think I blew it early on when we were talking, and I apologize. I said it on Saturday night. I have the exact same feeling after that game that I did after this game. The exact same feeling.
Really?
That I felt like Notre Dame should have won that game, and they lost it at the last second. It's almost identical. Almost identical. So yeah, it's very, 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 very similar.
To me, it was different because now you've got an established Notre Dame program who I think feels like they should be winning these kind of games. They went in with every reason to believe, and I mean, it was only what, a 3.5 point spread going in. They had every reason to believe they should win those kind of games. 2005 Bush push, you're still coming out of really bad Tyrone Willingham, 2003, 2004, up and down, everything else. And this was USC, defending national champ. They've been, running college football for a year and a half, whatever it was. And they've got Heisman Trophy winners and, Leinart and Bush and Lindale White, all those different guys. I still felt like there was at least some excitement to feel like Notre Dame was so close, like they were back and they played against their biggest rival in this kind of game. So I like, personally for me, I think that there was at least a little bit higher level of excitement, not nearly as much disappointment coming out of the Bush push game compared to this one, because the expectation levels were just different.
I think a lot of that has to do with social media, to be honest with you.
It probably does. It probably does,
what I mean?
because there wasn't social media back then.
How much negativity I've been reading over the last 48 hours, and I think it just makes it even more ingrained in my head that they lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that has a lot to do with it. It felt the same way to me from covering the team, from being a fan, because, and I guess I'm referring, you went a little bit more big picture than I am thinking, I guess.
Okay.
I'm thinking like in the moment, like being on the sideline for the Bush push game and like thinking that they won the game, and then they get one more play and they win it on the last play of the game. And it's like, oh my God, that's devastating. Like, that's what Saturday night felt like to me. Now,
and it was almost the same spot that play happened.
Yes, it was.
As well, when you think
somebody said that. Somebody said that. Somebody said that in the chat during the post-game show, and I think I made some smart-ass comment about, well, there's only 2 end zones, so it had to be one or the other. It's a 50-50 shot. But, yeah, I mean, it was right there, and I don't know. Both of those losses were devastating, and there are very few times in my life where I remember exactly how I felt in that moment. The USC game is one of those moments.
USC was
always
just,
remember.
You talk about glass case of emotions, man.
Oh, yes.
It was all over the place. It's like, the ball's shooting in the air, and it seems like it's in the air forever.
Yeah.
It's like, they won.
Yes.
Hold it. What? You're putting time? What?
Yes.
What's going on here?
I'm telling you, that's one of the moments for me. When I got married, kids are born, USC game, Cubs winning the World Series, like those are like the top ones for me. You know what I mean? And now this Ohio State one is right up there. We'll see how things progress this season, but right now that's right up there. It's right up there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They were so, because like having that USC as a memory, having, some of these other, close losses, close calls as a memory, again, like to really feel like this team belonged. And I think Crystal brought it up earlier. There's so much young talent on this team.
Oh,
there are many better days that are coming for this. And that's what, like going back to what we talked about at the start of the show with Marcus Freeman. I don't want, what I hope is like, nobody thinks, oh, he's given up on Marcus, whatever. That's not where I'm going at all. Again, my point was with all the fan stuff
right
after the fact, blaming all this, that was the point at the beginning. There are so many better days that are still ahead of this program with the influx of talent that is going to continue to roll through the turnstiles. There's a lot of, I have like a few years ago, it's like, I don't know. Have they reached their peak? Can they win these games? Can they compete in these games on the big stage? It was a big question still.
Sure,
but
it hasn't been answered.
I have a lot more confidence today than I did 3 years ago. That it's going to happen.
Accurate.
It's going to happen, and you're going to. Yeah.
It's very rose-colored glasses thing of me to say right now, but I'm going to say it. There's a lot of football left to be played this year, guys. There's a lot of football left for this year, and the team. Look, Notre Dame is one spot away from still being a top 10 team this year. Right? Everybody's like, there were some people in the chat talking about, oh, I wonder what they're going to do at quarterback next year. They're still this year. Like a lot of those teams that are ahead of Notre Dame are going to lose. And if Notre Dame takes care of business, they're going to have a chance to climb the charts. I'm not predicting college football championship. I'm not predicting any of that stuff. But what I am saying is there is a lot of football left. It is September 25th. We're not even in October, let alone November. Like, give it a second. Okay. You are allowed to be upset. I'm upset. Be upset, right? But also understand that, hey, there's still more football to be played. Okay. So let's see how Notre Dame does against Duke. That's going to tell you a lot about this team, about Marcus Freeman, about Jared Parker, about Al Golden, about all the way down the line. Wait for this Saturday night, folks. Just wait.
So there was a lot of talk about whether or not we would see a sea of red Saturday night. And, well, just what'd you think? What'd you think of the red presence? I thought it was pretty minimal myself.
I was pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. You and I were standing outside of the press box at the beginning of the game. When the stadium was full, we were out there kind of watching the band, the national anthem, and all that stuff, and the flyover. And it was, we got that report, right, that 40% are going to be Ohio State fans.
I'm curious. Okay, Ryan is saying 64.
No, it was
Roy
not.
Is saying 75-25. I thought it was 15% at
15
at best.
Tops.
Yeah.
Tops.
Now,
I
maybe,
don't know if Ryan was in the game.
There was
Maybe
more of a concentration on that side where, by the video board where the opposing people typically are. And there was some red under the press box where we were that we really couldn't see. I'm not saying there wasn't red, but it was vast majority green inside there.
Oh my gosh. 100%. Like I'm
Mike
trying to look
90-10.
You've got, I got to refresh now. You took some pictures and you put them on Twitter, or you sent them to me. Ah, crap. I don't have it.
Let me see.
See if you have them, because I didn't see a whole lot of red in those pictures, and I've got it on my phone, but I didn't update.
Well, I've got some of the video that I'm going to put. I don't think I've.
Okay.
No.
Well, either way, there was not as much red as I was anticipating. I would put it at about 15 if I was going to make an educated guess.
Right.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull this up here real quick. I don't know if it'll let me do this. No, it won't. I can't just put up a photo. It's got to be.
You got to share the page, I think.
I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good myself.
Yep.
Let's put this, because all the talk going in about the green lights, and I've got this is between the third and fourth quarter with the LED bracelets and all that stuff for for people watching on YouTube right now, so you can see kind of the different sections. One lights up green, and then it's kind of back and forth. And what did you think of this little light display between the third and fourth quarters?
I actually put it on Twitter. I said it was a 7 out of 10. It was cool. I like.
You can kind of see. You can go. Sorry to cut you off. You can see some of the red there.
Yeah.
Like you also see, like at the top, there's a lot of red. They ain't wearing the bracelets.
Right. Exactly.
Like people in red aren't wearing the bracelets, and you can see a lot of green flashing.
That's a ton of green.
Yeah.
So again, I think that it was cool. It's obviously really only for this part of the thing. You know what I mean? Like they were trying to do it during the game. And when the actual lights are on, you just can't see them very well. You know what I mean? And so that part was a little flat.
Yeah, I thought it would have helped if they had, like these lights up here on the press box that are flashing white. Like if they had killed those.
Yes, that would have been
like
better.
It should have been, and those should have been green, I think. Like that should have been green as well.
Well, you know why those lights were on, right? No. They're totally on so that the coaches and the players can see what they're doing. They're shining on the players.
The white flashing lights. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
The white ones at the top of the press box there. They're shining on the players.
The ones that are flashing, not the. I'm talking about the ones.
Okay.
See how it's like the lower level of the press box?
Oh, those
white
were
blocks that are flashing.
The ribbon. That was the ribbon.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
okay. What I'm saying is that should have been. No,
gotcha.
What I'm saying is that should have been green as well, because I think it kind of threw off the visual effect of the LEDs a little bit. But I thought it was pretty, it was pretty good. We're doing this on silent because if we play the music, then our video is going to get flagged and it'll get taken down. So we couldn't play the music that they were playing. Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
That happened during training camp. I shot some video and they had music going, and
really,
yeah, we got flagged and Brian had to go edit some stuff out. So I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was, pretty solid all the way around. I thought that, again, could have been ratcheted up just a little bit just with the visual, but I thought it was a good job.
I wanted some, I don't know, the music I felt like needed to be, I don't know, a little more hype. Like the first time they did this, I think it was last year or whatever, like the players loved it. They were all dancing around, having a great time. I looked down at the sideline, did not see that. I don't know. I'm being very picky. I'm splitting hairs. It was still a cool atmosphere. I thought the atmosphere in the stadium all night long was really, really good, though.
Yep.
Really, really good.
Thought it was solid. It was like from the minute the game kicked off, sitting in the press box, they did have the little ventilation windows open at the top of the press box, so you can kind of hear the sound outside. You could definitely hear the crowd in a way that you don't usually hear the crowd.
Almost a home field advantage.
Almost, but I didn't see a lot of false starts by Ohio State either.
You're right. They had one that they got all excited about and like put this, the special video up there about how loud it was, and then there was nothing after that.
Right. Right. All right. Well, thanks for being here tonight. This one flew by. I've got to let Vince get going so he can prepare for his next show here in a little bit more than a half an hour with Brian upon further review. So got that coming up. We'll have more, of course, over the course of the week as we lead up to Notre Dame and Duke coming up this Saturday. 4 consecutive night games. And we'll talk a little bit about that on tomorrow's show, the fact that the Louisville game is going to be a night game as well. So
I had the same reaction that Marcus Freeman had, by the way.
Because I'm not tired enough today,
Seriously, I'm still not. I was exhausted all day today. You know what I mean? Because Sunday's like the work around the house day, and
it's
all
like
these
time change.
Things. Like,
I feel like time change right
now. That was rough. That was rough, and that was only 1. Now we got 3 more to go. Oh man!
Hit that like button, subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on IB Nation Sports Talk.